webcams, can it just be Temple Run footage?
Yeah,
We
subway
want to make
surfers.
sure, make sure people have enough stimulation.
Yeah, and,
Yeah, and it's
people
like footage
fondling
of-
jelly.
Yes, perfect. And cutting up soap.
Put nothing but oddly satisfying gifs over where my webcam is.
Put hardcore pornography gifs over mine, please. That's the one way to get attention.
YouTube yet.
But yeah, I agree with Kaya.
Playful kittens.
I agree with Kaya. I think that things are so simple and user-friendly now that when an actual issue arises, people just cannot figure it out. Like, I've got friends who just don't even know how to Google their own questions properly and, like, look for the answer the right way, you know?
Dude, I saw... So I'm not on TikTok, but I do see TikTok, obviously, when it, like, dumps on other social media or somebody sends me one. I saw this one that went viral, apparently, of a girl who blew her followers' minds by reverse image searching. And they were like, holy shit, you can... I knew you could look up photos with text, but the other way around, that's incredible. And I think now that we have AI and everything too, by the way, all the companies are going all in on AI. Like Microsoft has now laid off 10,000 people, and they're now investing billions of dollars into OpenAI. And they said that they were going to make it basically part of all of their company, all of their products.
Nothing scary about that, right, guys?
Nope.
Hey, I don't work at
I think it's going
Microsoft.
to be integrated into Microsoft Word and whatnot. And
Only
Google
3
apparently
weeks
also said
after
that
that
they're going
debate,
to,
and I'm already being proven right that this is already having an effect on like the economy and jobs and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think
it
anyone
will
ever
certainly
argued
have an
that. We
effect.
just argued that it was going to start murdering people within the next week or
Yeah.
something because it could write your book
Well, it
report.
will when Microsoft owns it.
We
so.
all unanimously agree, Jackson, that this is going to cause disruptions in the workplace and changes to the economy. It's all streamlining,
no.
and this is the same shit that happened with car manufacturers and all that shit.
This is a rewriting of history, and I will
But how
not stand
far it
for
goes, that's a different
it's a
story.
new industrial revolution, and it's kind of amusing to watch. There's already like a lot of Reddit threads now of young people, like high school kids and shit, and college kids too, writing these threads like, oh, my teacher noticed that I used ChatGPT to write my essay. What do? He sent me to the dean's office. I might get expelled. To which my answer is, first of all, deny it. Well, how the fuck can they really 100% prove it, right? But now they're making AI to detect if something is written by AI or an image is made by AI. It's very entertaining to watch.
But how can
And you
an
can
AI
already
know
tell, like,
for sure? How can you know for sure that it's generated by AI?
Yeah, the AI could start lying. Like, hey, I
It's
guess
just
you're
trying
bad.
to fuck this kid over.
You should AI generate your excuses, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You can. That's exactly how it works. So apparently when AI writes something, obviously it doesn't have like that human touch to it. It's like kind of too clinical. It doesn't have a custom style to it like each writer does. So other AI can detect this. But you can go and tell the original AI and say, hey, make this sound more human. And apparently that works, and that doesn't get detected by the second
Well,
AI.
why even do
So-
that? Why not just say like I was trying to write this like an AI. I wrote this with an AI in mind.
I was trying to be formal.
Yeah, I was trying
But
to
yeah, I
be-
mean,
trying to be robotic.
teachers are fucked. I remember back in my day, they had some websites that was. Do you guys remember? It was very famous that teachers would use to detect if you plagiarized.
Yeah, turn it
a
in.
sentence.
Turn it in.
Turn it in. Yes, thank you. But it was very primitive. You could throw it off by just, you guys know the character sheet on Windows. You could open it up and find like an ASCII character that kind of sort of looks like an A, and you could replace all of the A's in your essay with that symbol and turn it in. Couldn't detect it. It was perfect. I forged entire essays that way and handed them in to my like history teachers and shit. But now, I guess we're gonna see how it goes. It's entertaining to me.
You're mixing
What
the
am I
names up.
thinking
Dr. Death was a Kevorkian that did assisted suicides, I think.
Yeah.
I
But there
don't
could
know
be
who
someone
Dr.
that you're
Kevorkian
describing,
is.
Kaya, but that's not where
Yeah.
the nickname was attributed.
Could be,
But-
yeah.
But you know, this is
ahead.
the kind of stuff you just gotta not think about if you want a happy life. What do you call a doctor who gets all D's in medical school? The point is, a doctor could graduate at the top of their class with fucking accolades and everything, or they could barely pass by the skin of their teeth, like this close to failing out whatever the bar is, but they're still a doctor. They still can run a practice and be a called doctor and all of that. You'd never really know, unless you personally ask them.
But then they just lie to you.
Yeah, they're good at lying.
Yeah, those liars. Fucking, you guys seen everything that's happened with the Pfizer vaccine all of a sudden? Jesus Christ, we're doomed.
Were we lied about that?
Yeah, and then now it's giving everyone the heebie-jeebies. So everyone's shaking all over the place everywhere. It's fucking terrifying,
Yeah.
All those memes, yeah. Well, that's a problem with the experts who would like the doctors. You can find any doctor and you can pay him to say the earth is flat, and they will do it. I mean, again, doctors said that smoking is good and a healthy way to lose weight. It's like,
Well, that's not really
It's
a
not-
doctor problem. It's not the problem with doctors. It's just the problem with the system that we live in and people in general.
I think it's a
corruption.
problem. It's a problem with people not recognizing that doctors are not infallible.
Well, yeah.
Someone
we
just says
place
the
too
experts and
much-
they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust the experts. Believe whoever's a doctor
don't.
or a scientist. if they're a scientist or a doctor, they're instantly like infallible, which I don't necessarily think is true.
I certainly don't. The main person on Twitter that keeps spreading those videos of people doing the fucking Harlem Shake with the Pfizer vaccine stuff comes from a goddamn doctor.
Well, then which doctors do we trust and which ones we don't? Because
I don't know.
none of us.
I
none
think
of
a
us
good
do the
starting point is a
research.
doctor that can recognize what real tremors and seizures look like. Would be a really great starting
But
point.
we're not smart enough to know when they're telling the truth mostly or lying.
Oh yeah,
mostly.
no, I agree. You're right.
Like this is
Yeah,
obviously a pretty
I
obvious
think you can be
case,
smart
I would
enough.
say.
Like, okay, but I think you are smart enough to recognize when Pfizer says, "Oh, you should vaccinate yourself every month, 12 times a year," and also the vaccine we're jacking the price up to $150, and we're petitioning the government to make it mandatory to buy it from us. I think you kind of understand that there's like a profit motive there, and this isn't all about science anymore. Most people get that, but you still get attacked if you say, "Well, I don't trust that expert that just said that." I mean, you were literally, remember, people had their entire YouTube accounts shut down when they said that, the Wuhan virus may have come out of the Wuhan virology lab and not just spontaneously sprung into existence from a fucking bat. And now we know, turns out the conspiracy theorists were right.
Well, only in that case, and well, we don't know that for sure as well. By the way, we don't know because you're just listening to experts that you agree with that say that it did. That's what I'm saying. How do we know which fucking experts to trust? Because none of us do the appropriate research into the data or the surveys or the research information, whatever.
I think
to
that's a co-op. I
actually
think
know.
you don't, and you assume no one else does either.
No, I don't assume no one else does. Sure, there's got to be like one guy that's right at least. There's got to be some kind of actual truth to things. But I don't know how to determine which one's
That guy
telling the
must
truth.
be depressed.
Because no one's listening to him.
Probably not.
Because
telling
no
the
one's
truth.
believing him or trusting him, and he's always correct about everything.
But what if it wraps around and he's correct about absolutely insane shit? So he's right
Like
about
the
the
sun
vaccines
feeding
and
you.
COVID, but then he's like, the aliens built the pyramids. I'm right about that too. I have the evidence, and he's just completely correct, and no one will
I still
believe him.
maintain there is now a new crop of ufology or uapology that is different from that of like 10 or to 15 years ago. I'm telling you guys, it's no longer just a bunch of hicks with half their teeth missing going, "I got kidnapped by a UFO and they put stuff in my butt." It's like actual like smart people talking about this now, and I'm interested, but I'm also not like
Smart people are talking
I
about
don't wanna
stuff in
actually-
The
butts.
stuff in your butt's what got you? Huh?
No, it's like they analyze the government papers that they release a little bit, but it's also something that I don't want to spend that much time reading about. But the problem is, I actually reached out to 3 different people on Twitter about UFOs, and I was like, "Hey, what's like an easy entry into this? Like, where do I start?" Because you guys just, when someone throws around a lot of terminology,
Yeah, you don't know where to
inside terms, and
It gets confusing.
yeah, I have no idea what the fuck.
Why
like,
didn't you just ask
give
me?
a
I'm super deep into
101.
that shit. I check in on those communities
Oh,
often.
really?
Yeah, I'm always
Yeah,
looking.
he
Okay,
said
so what's up?
he's always said that his dad is like
Yeah, my
the-
dad's
the
super into
master.
it,
He's
too.
basically a spaceship pilot at this point.
The Trinity Project in 1945, the first nuclear bomb experiment, because that's significant. It was significant for our human species because we reached the atomic age, right? Our first atomic bomb, yay for us. Their theory is, one of the many theories, that UFO sightings have gone up since then because they may have been dormant vessels on Earth that are basically just meant to observe us as a primitive species until we discover atomic energy, and then mobilize to observe us further from the air, I guess.
Yeah, best stuff to look at is from like the scientists, because there are a couple that do, like you said, legitimately analyze like the files that they keep releasing, like the declassified stuff. But a lot of it's just kind of uninteresting because they'll be like, yeah, it's not extraterrestrial. This is just something we don't really get, but it's certainly from this planet. So it's just kind of like, oh, there hasn't really been
Well,
anything.
my issue is a lot of the
that
evidence.
just means like Russian space. Not
It
space
means
Russian,
legitimately anything.
yeah.
Any
Oh,
other
okay.
nation's technology, fucking astronaut
Yeah, that's what
farmer
I meant.
built something goofy. Like, it just means anything, but they're not ever confirming that it's like something
So
off-world.
that's always been what's been known. Like that's always been the most logical answer, right? That most people have said.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is by far the most logical because if any alien species reached us, it'd mean they'd have faster than light travel, which right now we
Yeah.
believe is completely impossible.
But so nothing's changed then, apart from just scientists are weighing in on it, basically.
Nope, it's just now that there's like the classified shit, people are actually looking at unidentified objects as opposed to just like, here's 3 blimps that flew in a weird formation, probably aliens. Now it's just like people looking at like, oh wow, this is a really interesting flying apparatus that we've never seen before. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's the government, you know, it used to be, again, they would call everything a conspiracy
Yeah.
theory, and I guess in more recent years, the government has just openly said, yeah, but we don't know what the fuck this is. And then you have these government insiders, people who used to work for the CIA or NASA or the whatever the hell, they all coming out and saying, yeah, I used to work on these projects. They harvest crash sites for rare materials and yada yada, and the government keeps the patents and they hand them over to Lockheed Martin. My issue is, all of it is just hearsay. It's just he said, she said. In 1970 such and fuck, Bob Lazar claimed that he saw a UFO. It's like, okay, what do I give a fuck what he claims? Like, how much of this can you actually prove?
Corroborate. Well, that's the thing as well. Like when you think about it at this scale, like they're saying like there's whole teams going into harvest resources, and then Lockheed Martin's got like entire teams working on R&D for it or whatever. That's like so many people where it can get out from. That's why I don't personally believe that kind of stuff, is because like there's just so many points where we should have heard about it, like actual
Yeah, the amount of
evidence
people
about
who
it.
would blab, right, about the
Yeah.
conspiracy.
Yeah, it's the same thing to me that fully debunks like the moon landing and JFK conspiracies. It's like you can't have that many people involved with such a giant scale thing over all those years and not have someone confess or something really get out, you know?
But it's also, what did I call it? We're like, not everybody has all of the information, obviously. Like, the guy who pulled the trigger on JFK doesn't know that he did it for the FBI.
But you don't know that.
You know, of course I don't, but you don't know that I'm wrong.
Fuck.
Expert said.
Now we're gonna do this all day.
Shut up, bro. Using a ploy against you. That's what he's doing. Using a ploy
Yeah,
against
it's
you.
like
Like, come on.
50-50 go with whatever's funnier.
Exactly, thank you. And also, whenever it's 50-50, always assume that the government is evil and will just stab you in the back.
That goes for like
I don't know.
everything. Corporations, government, literally everything.
Everything,
game developers.
everything.
Friends,
Experts,
Yeah.
Anything.
loved
Lovers.
ones, pets.
Yeah, exactly. It goes over everything, bro.
Don't trust anyone.
Don't ever talk to anybody.
Just trust yourself.
99 out of 100 Zoomers that just make TikTok channels. But there's like 1 out of them who makes a TikTok channel and he has actually good music to share. Because now it's easy to just download FL Studio and have like a, whatever, $20 keyboard and make stuff. I think that's a nice thing. The downside is, of course, we have to deal with all the
Yeah.
other bullshit.
To people in Andrew.
And it is only a net positive. Yes, you are more likely to discover not only talented people you wouldn't have found before, but also things more to your taste. If you find music and you go, oh, I want more bands like this, it's not whatever you hear on the radio and you have to pick and choose. It's I can literally do some searching and find like dozens, maybe hundreds of bands that sound exactly like that I never would have found before. Kevin Perjurer just put out a amazing documentary on the Disney Channel, and it currently has 3.5 million views, and it is really well researched and really well put together and a fucking enthralling ride from start to finish. It's got 3.5 million views. At the same time, a lazy, shitty, terrible fucking meme thrown together in 10 minutes will climb to 6-7 million views in the same span of time. And it'll get promoted by YouTube all the same and thrown in my face every day.
I don't even think that's not really a YouTube thing though. That's different people looking for different things.
Yeah,
you have to keep in mind a lot of those people that are watching the 10-second meme are kids. They're not going to sit there and watch a
I'm aware.
really
That's
long.
that's 10 million children on trains on their iPads watching YouTube
it's
Kids. And
meaningless views.
But the problem is that when I hop on YouTube and I go, okay, algorithm, here's my subscriptions and here's what I search, show me good videos, it will promote that video to me every single day. And then when it's not a big deal. But when my feed, the first like 6 or 7 videos are unwatchable garbage, that's when it gets annoying.
I get where you're coming from, and I agree. Like, the algorithm doesn't throw up like good stuff a lot of the time, but I don't really quantify things by the amount of views they have, or I don't really assign value to a thing based on the amount of views it has. I guess like if
it's only sad to me if I agree. I also don't care about view counts, but I only get sad if I think somebody put a lot of effort into something and it is beautiful, but they cannot make a living with it. If you only get like 10,000 views, but you do make money with it because you have like a few whale patrons or something, that's a good thing. You don't have to have millions of views. If you can make your way through life, support yourself and your family, and you do something that you love and it's great art,
and you create beautiful things.
Yeah, you don't have to get as many views as whatever Logan Paul or whoever's famous nowadays. That's okay by me. I think AI is also going to like create a dichotomy between people who just lazily copy chat GPT prompts and write entire books like that, and people who use it in interesting ways to like, I don't know, I'm sure Pixar at some point is going to take a lot of people with a lot of talent and use AI to make an entirely AI generated movie or video game.
I mean, I also agree with that point. You know, view counts aren't the defining important factor to these creations, but there is an angle to it that is important. For example, business. You know, you're far more likely to get funds for bigger projects if your video is seen. You're far more likely to have more support, etc., etc. It's definitely not the only thing, but it's something to consider, especially in fucking the modern era with social media, where everything for a lot of people is revolved around view counts, where, you know, the entire model is around viewership.
So Charlie kind of touched on this though. I don't think this is a solvable issue, because I think even if the Kevin Perdura documentary, which is I watched it as well, it was fantastic, even if that was heavily promoted by YouTube like constantly, it's so niche and targeted,
probably still
and
would
long
end up in the
that
same view category.
Yeah, I don't think it would have exceeded all the other popular viral videos, for example.
I agree. It's just kind of how things are. I'm not saying like, oh, well, here's what we need to do to fix it, and there's really no way to fix or change that at all. It's just still at the same time annoying, you know? Yeah. It is what it is, but I can still complain. There you go.
And that's the thing. We can always still complain. Am I right, boys?
Yeah, let's complain. New topic to complain about. Here we go.
Wasn't this came from the menu, which was meant to be a good thing?
Oh, I don't think it came from the menu. I just kind of tacked that onto an already negative thing. That movie slaps.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Complaining can be
I'm sure it's good.
Complaining
is all we fucking do, though.
Ooh, Charlie, do you wanna take a bit to complain about Plane?
Well, do you want to know something to really complain about besides the movie being stinky? You'll probably see it in the Patreon chat. People love that movie, Andrew.
What?
I got grilled for not liking it. Yeah.
Are you? It has really, really stupid plot decisions from top to bottom. The entire first third of the movie is watching Gerard Butler fly a plane in real time. It's oh god, it's so bad.
Take this. Find them.
Did this just come out?
Yeah,
we watched
saw
it in
together.
theaters.
So why is it called
thought-
plane if the doesn't even sound like the plane portion is important?
It is. So like God, I can't believe I'm gonna fucking explain the plot again. Gerard Butler's a pilot. He used to be like a hotshot pilot who would fly glamorous routes like over Paris, but then a rowdy customer said mean things, and he said, "Hey man, what's going on?" The customer pushed him, so Gerard Butler punches him and then fucking chokes him out. So you got
In the plane?
Yeah, in the plane. And
As a
so then
pilot?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
As a commercial pilot?
Yes.
I think the air marshal would arrest the pilot. You can't just like punch someone.
Well, wait,
Oh,
who's
the
gonna
pilot-
land the plane then?
The pilot does
pilot
a
has
lot of
absolute
stupid things in this
authority.
movie, Kaya. Don't you worry.
Kaya, I haven't even begun to touch on the shit he does as a fucking pilot.
Yeah.
But so anyway, after getting like shit canned to do shittier routes, he's now like I think it's Singapore. So now he does like only Singapore routes, which are like not the big routes anymore. But one day, he's flying his plane home, and he's like, "Wow, there's a really intense weather storm up ahead. You know, why don't we take this route and go around it?" But then the head honcho corporate suit, he's like, "Nope, you're going right through it." And he's like, "Well, I mean, if you say so." So they go while they're going right through it. They get hit with a lightning strike, and the plane, they lose all power. It starts to get all cattywampus. And I shit you not, while this is happening and while they're like losing control, Gerard Butler gives it to his co-pilot. He's like, "Here, take the wheel. I'm gonna go calm everyone down." So as this thing is fucking crashing, he's like, "Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we're still in the air, and it's gonna start looking up soon." And then it gets worse. Obviously, he hits his head on an overhead compartment. And then there's nothing they can do to stop the plane from crashing, but there's also a criminal on the flight. So the criminal and his handler are, getting thrown around. The handler dies because he hits the ceiling.
Oh, but why does he hit the ceiling, Charlie?
Oh, because he was sending a text message to someone he loved, and he dropped his phone while this thing was crashing, so he unbuckles his seatbelt to go chase his phone around the plane,
And why does the stewardess get killed, Charlie?
Because she unbuckles her seatbelt to try and get the handler back in his seat to put his seatbelt on.
While they're
This sounds
mid-crash.
funny.
And
While they're crashing.
And they both hit the top of the plane, the little roof, and they die instantly.
To point out that a lightning strike would not take down an airplane.
God damn it!
No,
Andrew's
no,
giving
okay,
this
does
too
it
much
have-
credit.
That's the triumphant moment where they're trying to escape.
Oh
And
yeah,
like that
okay.
guy gets shot, and you don't feel like, oh, fuck, that sucks. Like he did not deserve it, and it's not a
I didn't even know
moment
who it was.
of, like,
They're both bald, and he gets shot from a distance, and it sounds like it hits the metal next to him, but then he crumples over, and I didn't know who the fuck it was. And they don't even they literally don't even look at him again. I didn't know it was the nice guy until
Andrew, what
Andrew
you-
said it was.
By the way, what you call
That's so stupid.
was this like a sad ending?
No, it was
No,
super, it was
it's a
super
good
fucking
ending.
happy. God damn.
it's a super happy ending. That's why it's weird that the happy, nice
Well,
guy
yeah,
gets
that-
shot
that's
for
an-
no reason.
That's
Okay.
Yeah. So what I was
like a
trying to
mix-up.
explain is if you have bad things happen to good people in movies, it gives the audience a sense of despair. If you have a good written show like Breaking Bad, they do that to make you feel like a character's an asshole. Walter White poisons a child who is innocent, and then you go, Walter White's a
Spoiler
bad
alert.
person. He deserves bad shit to happen. But in this movie, one of the characters we're supposed to like, who's like really friendly, just gets shot, and you go, well, what the fuck? Why did he get shot? That just sucks. That's not good. When it's during the triumphant, like, oh, they're gonna make it ending. It's so stupid.
But then the triumphant ending has consequences, right?
No,
Someone
no,
dies.
because
they don't even show
the
the
guy
guy.
who's a dick never gets shot or anything. He just walks off the plane and goes home.
And the guy who does get
No, but that's
shot,
a good
they don't even
consequence.
show. The only reason that I think Andrew even recognized who it was is because there's a panning shot, and you can see him going, oof, ouch, while he's in the plane and they're taking off again.
He's like bleeding out in the plane, but he's the nice guy, and yet the guy who's a dick has nothing bad happen to him whatsoever. Also, there's a guy who gets on the plane in the very beginning, and he's like this like college frat boy, and one of the passengers goes, oh, how'd you be able to afford this flight? And he goes, oh, I got frequent flyer miles, bro. And he's like supposed to be this like, carefree like dude bro, and his only thing in the movie that he does is they rescue them from a prison, and Gerard Butler puts them on a bus, and he goes, can you drive this thing? And he goes, yeah, man, I can drive anything. And that's it. That's all he does in the whole movie. It means nothing. No,
Yeah,
not
typical
even.
You don't
action
see any
plot
of these fucking passengers, Jackson. You don't see any of them ever. It's so
God.
stupid. It's everything about that movie is actually terrible, even from an action movie perspective, because they don't show the action. So every piece of action, like you'll see the prisoner like shoot at somebody, and then they fall from a distance. You don't see anything there's one scene of action where one of the PMCs come to try and rescue these people, and there's 4 of them. It's like the goddamn Navy SEALs, and it's against an entire island, and yet somehow all 4 of them kill the entire island's terrorists. But regardless, one of them has a 50 cal. So he starts shooting some of the terrorists through their cars, and you see them like fly back and hit the car. That's the only time they actually show any of the action. Even the final triumphant moment where Gerard Butler's like, all right, we're getting back on the plane and I'm flying us the fuck out of here. So as he's taking off, the main leader's name's Datu. He's got an RPG out on the back of a truck on the runway. And Gerard Butler and him are having a stare off as he's like flying the plane towards him. And then as he's taking off, the implication is that he hits him with the plane, but they don't show you. Instead they cop out and just show the plane hitting a car. So it's just, they don't even bother showing the action. It's just a terrible fucking action movie too.
Now let's whip around and blame the audience, because Charlie, when we saw this movie, quite a few fun things happened. Number one, a woman in the front row was FaceTiming the first like fourth of the movie.
Yeah, that's pretty
with
wild.
someone she was on the phone with, just literally just showing her the movie over the phone on FaceTime. I was shocked that she put it away. Number two, there was a group of I don't know, some people in like the back right corner of us towards the back, and they were just talking basically the whole movie. They were just having conversation. They didn't care. But when that 50 caliber scene, what?
I was asking, can you blame them?
Oh no. I can't. But here's the fun thing. When the action started for that scene with the 50 cal, that was when they were shooting them through cars, and every time a guy got hit with a 50 caliber bullet, he'd go flying. You know, like, which I guess more realistic. So, you know, normal guys in the movie, if they get shot or whatever, it cuts away or it looks like shit. But the guys who got shot with a 50 cal, they'd go flying and the car would explode and it'd be kind of satisfying. Every time that happened, that group would go, oh, hey, throughout the theater. So you could tell that the people watching this movie were not here to watch a movie. They were just here to fuck around and just like waste time and not get invested. They just wanted to go, let's just go see a movie, haha. So I think that's why people are rating it highly. They didn't actually watch the movie. They just went with a gang of friends to fuck around.
That has to be the case, because it is fucking terrible in every possible department.
If the very first thing you saw him do was killing Han Solo, and then the rest of the movie was, well, here's why I killed Han Solo. No,
it is kind
the whole point is they build up to him. They have this drama of everyone going, oh, he's got good in him. He could be a good Jedi. He's our son, etc., etc. And that's why it's a twist when at the end his father's like, son, it's time to come home. Stop fucking around. And he goes, I can't. I'm far gone. And he kills Han Solo. That's why it's a shocking moment that happens. But if it just happened in the beginning, you wouldn't care. You'd go, oh, well, he's a dick and he's a dick forever. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, it's like if you saw someone do that in the real world, you'd be like, what the fuck? He's a dick. He's an asshole. Like, if he just bullies, he's like a bully.